Assalamu alaikum everyone. The paper that we'll be doing today is October-November 2023. The paper variant is 1-2. Okay, so the first question is, which structures have both the cytoplasm and the cell wall? Now we know that cytoplasm is present in all living cells and cell walls are present in plant cells. So when they're talking about both the cytoplasm and the cell walls, this means that this would not include any of the human cells. So liver cells and red blood cells, both of these are human cells, so both of these could not be the answer. We're left with root hair cells and xylem vessels. Now, root hair cells and xylem vessels, both of them, they possess a cell wall. However, only one of them possess a cytoplasm. Which one of it possesses a cytoplasm? That is the root hair cell. Why does a xylem vessel do not contain cytoplasm? Because it is a dead cell. And cytoplasm is present in living cells only. So the correct answer is going to be root hair cells. Which statement defines a species? Now we're talking about species. This is bookish definition, so we're going to go with that. A group of organisms that feeds on the same food sources? No, this is not the definition of a species. Group of organisms that have many body features in common? Again, not something that we classify species in. A group of organisms that share a common habitat? Again, not something that we classify a species as. So a group of organisms that interbreeds and produce a fertile offspring, this is what a species is. So the correct answer is going to be C. Next, the diagram shows an experiment. Why has the starch suspension changed color? Now first, let's look at what has happened. We have a container that contains iodine solution, which is yellow-brown in color. Then we have a membrane that has a starch suspension enclosed within it, which is white in color. 6 hours have elapsed, and then what happens? We have the same container. It has yellow-brown iodine solution still within it. The membrane is still present. However, the starch solution that was initially white is now blue-black. What has happened? Now, two things can happen. Either the iodine can diffuse into the membrane bag, or the starch can diffuse out of the membrane bag. After 6 hours, contents within the membrane bag has changed, but contents outside the membrane bag are the same. So most probably something has come into the membrane bag. Why has the starch suspension not gone out of the membrane bag? Because starch is a polymer. It is a bigger molecule. It cannot cross across the membrane to go into the beaker. However, iodine molecules are smaller molecules. They are easier to move. They're easier to diffuse. So they can move across the membrane bag and enter the starch solution. And we know when starch and iodine react, it changes the color from yellow-brown to blue-black. So basically what has happened, iodine has moved into the membrane bag. That has caused the contents of the membrane bag to change the color. So iodine has diffused in through the membrane bag. Yes, this is what has happened. Iodine has diffused out through the membrane bag. Iodine was present outside already. It cannot go any further out. Starch has diffused in through the membrane. Starch is already present within the membrane. It cannot go further in. So this is wrong. This is wrong. Starch has diffused out the membrane. No, starch has not diffused out the membrane. How do we know that? Because the color outside the membrane within the beaker has not changed first, and second, from our bookish knowledge we know that starch is a larger molecule, it is a polymer, so it cannot diffuse out of the membrane. So the correct answer is going to be A. The table shows the relative concentrations of two mineral ions in a root hair cell and the water in the soil that is surrounding the plant. What is needed for the plant root to increase the concentration of mineral ions within the cell? So basically, this is the soil that is surrounding the root hair cell, and this is the root hair cell. If we look at the concentrations of magnesium and nitrate ions, the concentration within the root hair cells are higher. However, the concentrations within the soil or within the water around in the soil, that is lower. So what process would it be that is going to allow the mineral ions to go from a place of lower concentration to a place of higher concentration, that is within the root hair cells. We know that the process that allows ions or anything to move from a place of lower concentration to a place of higher concentration is called active transport. And the process of active transport requires energy. It requires ATP because it is moving the ions against the concentration gradient. It is not moving the ions down the concentration gradient. So in order to go against something, we need energy. So the process is active transport. Plus, from our bookish knowledge, we know that the process via which the root hair cells accumulate mineral ions within them, it is called active transport. So let's look at the options. Energy for active transport, yes, this is the answer that we think is correct. Energy for osmosis, osmosis is a passive process, so no. And osmosis is for water ions, it is for water molecules, it is not for mineral ions, so B cannot be the answer. Water for active transport, water is not needed for active transport. Water for osmosis, osmosis is not happening, so the answer would be A. Next, some health problems can be detected using chemical test for protein and glucose in the urine. Which row shows result for a person with protein and glucose in their urine? So the reagent that we use to test for protein is Biarritz reagent, and the reagent that we use for the testing of glucose is the Benedict solution. Glucose is a reducing sugar. Ethanol is for fat, so we do not use this. Iodine solution is for starch, so we do not use that. So the original color of ethanol and the original color of iodine, we need to know that because the original colors are going to be present, not the changed colors. So ethanol originally is colorless, it is colorless. Iodine is originally yellow brown and it is yellow brown. So over here we are going to cut this, over here we're going to cut this. So this cannot be the answer, this cannot be the answer, and this cannot be the answer. We're left with B only. So this means that this is the correct answer, but let's look at it as well. The original color of the Biarritz reagent is blue, and when a protein is added to it, or when Biarritz reagent is added to a mixture that contains protein, it changes to purple. So yes, purple. Benedict, it is originally blue in color, and when it is added to reducing sugar, it changes color according to the concentration, but mostly it is red. So red color. So yes, the answer is going to be B. Next, which statement describes an enzyme catalyzed reaction? All enzymes work best at the same pH? No. The optimum pH of every enzyme varies. It is different. An enzyme catalyzed reaction, as an enzyme catalyzed reaction progresses, the concentration of the reactants increases? No. The concentration of the products increases and the concentration of reactants decreases. As the temperature of enzyme catalyzed reaction increases from 0 to 20, the frequency of effective collisions increases. Yes, and that is what increases the rate of reaction as well. Enzymes are denatured as the temperature of the enzyme catalyzed reaction is lowered from 20 to 0. No, enzymes are denatured as the temperature rises. So the correct answer is going to be C. The diagram shows an aphid feeding on sugar in a leaf. When an aphid feeds, in which order do its mouth parts pass through the tissue of the leaf? For that, we need to know the different layers of the leaf. Firstly, we have the cuticle, then we have the upper epidermis, then we have the palisade cells. And over here, we have the xylem and we have the phloem, right? Now, since we're talking about sugars, so we're going to, in the end, it is going to reach the phloem. It is not going to reach the xylem because xylem contains water. And the question they're asking about is sugar. So in the end, it is going to be phloem. It is not going to be xylem. And in the end, it cannot be upper epidermis because upper epidermis is present in the first, and not the palisade cells because palisade cells are present in the middle. So the answer is going to be upper epidermis, then the palisade cells, and then the phloem. So the correct answer is going to be B. For which processes do plants need either the nitrate ions or the magnesium ions? Now we know that the nitrate is an important part of protein. So yes, nitrates are needed for protein synthesis, and magnesium ions are necessary for the synthesis of chlorophyll. This we know from our bookish knowledge. For cellulose, we do not need either of those. So the correct answer is going to be D. Which row shows the processes involved when nitrate ions and water from soil enter the root hair cells? It is a similar question from what we did before as well. So, nitrate ions are going to concentrate within the root hair cells via active transport, and water is going to concentrate via osmosis, not active transport, not diffusion. So, the answer is going to be A. Okay, next. Which changes in condition will decrease the rate of transpiration? What is transpiration? It is the evaporation of water vapors from the surface of a plant leaf. Now, if we do have a plant leaf, what is going to cause decreased evaporation of water from here? First, let's see B, the decrease in humidity around the atmosphere. Humidity is the amount of water vapors that are already present out there in the surrounding. So, if this is the surrounding and we already have, and there is a decrease in humidity. Initially, we had 100 water vapors, now we have 50 water vapors. This means that when the humidity has decreased, there is more space for 50 more water vapors to evaporate and accumulate in the surrounding air. So, this cannot be the answer because this is going to increase the transpiration. More water is going to convert into water vapor. So, transpiration is increasing. So, this cannot be the answer. An increase in the light intensity around the leaf. If the sun is shining very brightly around midday, it is going to give more heat to the water that is present over here, and more heat energy means that more effective collisions and more changing of the liquid state of water into gas, that is evaporation. So, this cannot be the answer. An increase in the temperature of the atmosphere, again, if the temperature is increasing from 35 to 50 degrees, this means that more energy is being transferred to the plant leaf, to the water that is present in liquid state, and um, more water vapors are going to form. So this is going to increase the rate of transpiration. But a decrease in the air currents around the leaf, this is correct. Let me tell you how. So if already there are 100 water vapors present at this particular point, an air current comes and these 100 water vapors are transferred to the next plant leaf that is present here. So there is a vacuum here. There are no water vapors here, right? So this means that when the air current is coming in, it is allowing the water vapors accumulated here to flow in the forward direction, which makes space for more water vapors to accumulate over here. So when there is a decrease in air current, so the water vapors that have already been accumulated, they're going to stay there. They're not going to evaporate. So they're going to make the air humid. They're going to make the air saturated, and that is going to decrease the rate of transpiration. So the correct answer is going to be A.